talk about the role of different visual tools during the analysis process. First, I need to mention that all my examples are useful for Windows users, and also they are related to qualitative research methodologies, and they are actually based on NVivo as well. This presentation will show several examples of visualization, and we'll also try to explain their meaning and relevance for the analysis. And as a result, you will be more familiar with different grouping analysis, the role of models and the use of models in NVivo, some charts and graph techniques, as well as some other classifications that I'm going to go into details later. Briefly, types of visualizations in NVivo can be mostly text-based or relationship-based, and they can also be either directly related to specific data bits or more abstract, derived by the researcher, and including very few or no project elements in them. These are the main types of visualizations by names that I'm going to use in NVivo. And I'm founding this presentation on specific research examples. I'm going to show two end outputs from a research project that I did, and these are already the end results actually of the analysis, and they summarize the data, which represents 83 owner managers of rural enterprises that are mostly occupied with farming. And the data was collected through satisfaction interviews. The analysis is focused on individual people, so they are the research participants and the focus of analysis, and I have classified them, in this case, with relation to entrepreneurship, along a continuum. Each end is representing a group of characteristics that identify the people. In the second example, I'm presenting a four-box model which is constructed along two concepts: aspirations for self-employment and commitment to the agricultural sector. And it forms four mindsets, which I have named according to their engagement, the engagement of people with their enterprises. I'm using these examples in order to show how specific visualizations have helped me to categorize cases, compare them, search for relationships and patterns in order to get to the final results. And actually the visual examples are mostly, they are related to the analysis, so usually the researcher is the only person who sees them unless you decide to present some specific graph into a publication. This first example is called matrix coding query, and it's cross-tabulating codes in NVivo that represent concepts or themes with attribute characteristics of the people. It's showing the coding richness and density. It allows identifying where the analysis hasn't been sufficient or where there are areas of interest. And this can be also represented with a bar chart, which is a different way of identifying areas of interest within the data. Another example related to the codes is specifically charting them, in this case according to attribute characteristics. So basically within the data set I have created categories with characteristics, and each person is assigned a specific characteristic and specific attribute actually within one characteristic. And in this case I can see cross-referring categories which allow me to group people and compare them. On the left-hand side, this is more by quantity of data examples, and on the right by share, which is just a useful way of seeing the same. In this example called connection map, it's allowing group analysis of the sample. It's very useful for a large sample. On the left there are data sources which represent research participants, and on the right are concepts represented by codes. And it again allows seeing coding density and which concepts are more important or better represented within the data, as well as which cases can be related to more than one code. In this case, the concepts are actually also thematically related, which makes the representation more useful. Another tool that I have used is the cluster analysis, which can be implemented either with respect to sources or with respect to concepts. And it has allowed me, in terms of sources, to again find useful groups of people and be able to place them on the model later on. And with respect to concepts, it is helpful when you want to reduce or summarize some of the coding that you have done earlier by finding similarity of coding the same data in the text, for example. There is another example that I would like to use just to illustrate the use of models in NVivo. This is another data set which relates to a case study of implemented within a rural market town in Wales. And it focuses on one community enterprise and the small businesses related to it within that place. It includes a lot of diverse data sources, which makes it quite a large data set because it has interview data, workshop data, different secondary data from the internet in terms of video and articles, as well as some pictures that show the progress within the area because it's related to real estate property. And one of the ways to use visual tools to control this data is, for example, in a specific theme of analysis which is related to e-commerce development, I'm able to pull in together all sources that are relevant to this theme, and this way of representation, each element actually is related to a specific data source, dynamically related, so this graph is updating itself as you go on with analysis. And this is also another way to present, in the same way you can present also a mind map with connections that you can import in NVivo. It is pretty much the same, just with different use of the elements. And another way I have used models is, actually this is derived at, not directly related to the data level because I have analyzed the process of development of enterprise. And I have identified the different stages and put them in this graphical representation, which actually can be better presented probably in different software. And the data is only in one code, which can be present or not in the graph. So you can actually extract it and use it in another document. And with this, I'm going to have my presentation. If you have any questions about it, I'll be happy to answer.
Do you feel there's any limitations of the data that you want to present, but NVivo's structure doesn't work? Or do you feel you're having to work around the software more than your data? Do you have any problems with it?
Well, for presentation, yeah, I think the models actually may not be the most useful thing. They are useful when you have all your data in one place, but you can have also your ideas in the same place. And you can save like static copies of your ideas and then see how they change, because it can change dynamically when you have active connections between different parts of your data set. But if you want to present something in publication outputs graphically, it may not be the most useful tool.
I mean, what do you think it's just as useful for you to be able to see your data?
Yeah,
Visualized?
This is the main thing, yes.
Yeah.
The main thing right now.